Have you ever looked at all the gear musicians use and wonder, how does it all work? My name's Dustin, and my family and I are setting out on a quest to inspire both adult and kid musicians to create new sounds together and learn all about what it takes to produce great music. We'd like to invite you along on the journey as we explore the gear professional studios, musicians, and hobbyists use to create their art. We'll take a close-up look at the gear and ask,
what's this button do?
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of What's This Button Do? I'm your host Dustin, and today I am super excited to bring to you the Seeker Origin Series Zonk fuzz. Now you guys know I love fuzz pedals, and the Zonk is one of my favorite fuzzes of all time. But it is also one of the most contested fuzzes. Being a 3 germanium transistor fuzz, these could be really finicky, really different, and each one sounds a little different. But Seeker's using a ASY37, an AC125, and an MP42 transistor together to create some of the most amazing sounds I've ever heard from a Zonk. But because I've seen a lot of demos of these online, and because I've seen a lot of people playing Zonks and giving negative reviews to them, I thought what we would do is hop over to the pedal board, and I'm going to show you the goods and the bads of the Zonk and how to use it and bring the most out of it using your own gear at home. So let's hop over to the pedal board and we'll take a listen. Okay, so for today's demo, I'm going to be switching between a few different guitars. I'm going to start off with the Gibson Murphy Lab Les Paul. This one of my favorite guitars of all time. I know those of you who've been following the channel know this guitar really well. But there's something about these pickups that I think is a great way to demo what the Zonk is all about. So this is one of the best recreations of a true vintage Zonk pedal out there. But the thing you need to know, and I guarantee you, those of you who have played plenty of fuzz pedals before, I bet there are half of you out there that are watching this video right now going, Dustin, I've tried a Zonk before and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And then some of you are like, man, I love the Zonk, but I don't know what it is about it that I love. And then if you're like me, sometimes you'll play a Zonk and absolutely think it sounds terrible. And then you may play it another day and you're like, wow, why did I hate this so much? This sounds amazing. And then you'll go back to another time and you're like, ew, I don't like it. There is a reason, and I want you to hear it, as I think I can bring that out using my Les Paul. So let's dive into the pedal. I'm going to let you hear some sounds from it, and then we're going to talk about why that is and how to use a Zonk properly. So the first thing you're going to notice about the Zonk is it is a very simple pedal. You've got a volume and a swell knob, and I mean a volume and swell and a fuzz knob. The swell is typically going to be your volume knob. So I'm going to turn on my guitar down below here. Got that on there. And if I turn the fuzz down quite a bit, what you're going to see is if I've got the swell all the way down, if I turn the swell up, just an abso-freaking-lutely killer sound. It's very saturated, it has a lot of compression going to it, and when you hit like a power chord on this, you hear that sag sound, you hear it kind of compress and take that and hit really hard. Sometimes that can be absolutely beautiful, sometimes it's really annoying. If you don't want that sagged and compressed sound, sometimes that Zonk gets in the way and people don't like that. Now, there's a secret behind this, especially on old Zonks. Like this one uses an AC125 in it, and I found that certain times and with certain pickups, that reacts differently, especially pickups that don't have as much treble on them. So that's why I chose the Gibson Murphy Lab. These pickups are not super trebly. For instance, by themselves, I'm going to turn on my neck pickup here. You can hear they're not a real ice picky, real trebly sound like you would get out of the twang of a Telecaster or anything like that. That is going to play into effect when we're using the Zonk, because as I turn up the fuzz, so we'll start like here with my volume all the way up. Hear how it has almost a gating effect? And as I bring the volume up, or the fuzz up on this, there's the magic right there. You heard how it compressed everything down, almost sucked it out of the room, creating this void, and it just sounds like the pedal is shutting down, right? That is the sound that I read online complaints about all the time, where people are like, it sounds terrible. I hate how it's doing this. I'm losing my sound. And this becomes especially apparent too when we start playing solo runs and we get up higher on the neck. Watch this. As I get into higher and more trebly section of the neck, that sound just gets sucked up and it goes away. It gets absorbed by the pedal itself. Now, this is where I encourage anybody who's ever messed with a Zonk before, anybody who's ever played with this kind of effect, for those who got discouraged with it the first time, give it a second chance, because this pedal will make your guitar playing better, and I'm gonna show you how. You see, this is reacting not just to the basic pickup sound of your guitar, it also reacts to the pick attack, how hard and how heavy and how loud you are hitting that pedal. And especially with bassier notes, it will cause that gate to collapse on itself and you lose that sound. Now, if you're going for that sound, that can be a really cool thing. So for those who have found ways to use that in their songs, that's great. It's fun, it's nice. But for the rest of us, where we may not want that in our music, I will show you how to combat that. And this is going to be an excellent guitar exercise that I've found has helped my playing over the last couple of years, and especially in these last couple of months playing with this pedal. I have really found my playing to get a lot better and a lot quicker, because your pick attack is partially what is triggering that. So if I've left my volume on my guitar all the way up and I turn on this pedal, I'm even going to turn the fuzz up a little bit more. I'll get past this Z range so you can hear here. If I hit this just like I was playing a normal solo, I'll start up on the top. We'll just play it pentatonically. You hear as I move up into that treblier section, I start to get absorbed and that sound goes away. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to use a really light pick attack. I'm barely going to pluck the string. Exact same settings. I didn't touch anything on the guitar. I didn't change the volume knob, anything. I just changed the attack on my pick. And you'll see, I'm going to go to the G string because that's usually where it flubs out on you. See, if I'm picking really hard, the harder I hit, the more it gates itself. See, that's why I like the Zonk, because you can naturally like do some cool swell in parts. And you can even do some gated cool attacks like this. Just really fun, and you can hear how it ungates and then comes back in. Now this also becomes fun for power chords. You can really hit some power chords. But if you go lighter, see how much variation there is just from that alone. Just your pick attack and just how you attack this pedal will completely change how it sounds. So for anyone who's had that bad experience with a zonk, please, 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 please give it another try, give it another chance in your arsenal, and start playing with how you attack it, and I guarantee you're going to see some interesting results. Now, the really cool thing about this, because the zonk interacts so well with treble frequencies and does so many crazy things with more extreme treble frequencies, if you have a effects pedal that uses a lot of treble, you can combine that with the zonk to create some amazing sounds. The best example that I know of this, and the sound that I've used zonks for a long time, is combining a zonk with a Digitech Whammy. And I always put the zonk after the Digitech Whammy, and I'll show you why. For anyone who's never used a whammy or knows what it is, Tom Morello made this famous with Rage Against the Machine. You've heard it on a million of his songs. If you've ever listened to a Rage song, you've heard the Digitech Whammy before. But essentially, set at 2 octaves down, it's like a whammy pedal, like a wah pedal, but when you depress down on it, you essentially are going 2 octaves up, and it causes a sweep. So for instance, so you hear it just takes it up to another level. So if I play like normal, cool, that's what it sounds like. Now watch what happens when I add a zonk after that. This is where the real magic is. We'll leave the sound just the same. So again, this is our sound without the whammy on. If I hit it hard, it compresses again, right? Now watch this. Now I'm going to use the whammy. See how much cooler that makes that sound? Now, Morello did not use a zonk, but I'm going to tell you, like, I think I've gotten closer to Tom Morello's tone on the recordings playing live with a Digitech Whammy running into a zonk than I have with anything else that I've ever used. So that's where the real magic is. This also works great with ring modulators, any kind of crazy treble boost pedals that you use. Use those right in front of the zonk, and you will be so amazed at the sounds that you can get. It's absolutely magical. Now, I said earlier that I wanted to show you this with a couple guitars. So what I did is I also switched over to my Kurt Schoen Harley Davidson guitar. This has Lawler Powertrons in it, and these are really, really trebly pickups by themselves. So if I turn on my guitar here, and I've got it just down in the bridge pickup, they just have a really nice chimey ring to them. Beautiful, beautiful sound by itself. I want you to see how this interacts with the zonk compared to the way that my other pickups were acted. I'm going to keep those in the exact same position. Now watch this do in that same area. Now, I know it's almost impossible to tell from a video, but I was hitting that super, super hard in order to get it to actually compress and suck that sound out. Way harder than I was having to do with my Les Paul. So this one is a little bit more forgiving because those Powertron pickups are wound a little bit differently than a standard humbucker. They've got a little bit more natural treble, so it keeps that gate open a little bit longer. So it is kind of cool how this works out with the pickups. The pickups interact differently than the pedals in front of it. If your pickups are a little chimier or have a little bit more treble and a little bit more brightness to them, they seem to keep that gate open a little bit longer, so you don't have to be as finicky with your attack. So if you find that you're having trouble with playing like a Les Paul with the zonk, switch over. If you've got a Telly or a Strat or anything that's a little chimier, switch over to that. Or if you have coil taps on your humbucker, coil tap that humbucker and see how it interacts. I almost guarantee you, you're going to be able to pick the guitar just a little bit harder and have less compression over the top of it. But with that said, I want to show you a little bit more of the sounds of the zonk itself. Let's turn up the volume a little bit and play with that just so you can hear some of the sounds. Because what I like to do is I like to set my zonk right about there on the fuzz level and right about there on the volume. And what that allows me to do is get this kind of fuzzy overtone, almost like a buzz. what happens when I gate that? Now, I also really love to use this setting with heavier riffs because you can really cause it to gate out and do some crazy kind of fun fills. So if I slam it right on the first note, see how it swells in? I know that was just a quick rough and tumble demo, but I hope that that showed you some different ideas of how you can utilize the Zonk. And for those who have had bad experiences in the past, I hope it inspires you to give it another chance, because I still believe the bloom and the saturation that the Zonk offers is one of the most beautiful sounding fuzzes out there. I like them so much more than the old Mark Ones that they were based off of. I think there's so much beauty there, and I've got to say, I have a ton of Zonks in my collection. I've got the Dan Drive one, which is a great Zonk. I've got several reissues, and I've even got an old Zonk. I'm going to tell you, I think this is one of the best Zonk reissues I've ever found. Honestly, no, it is the best Zonk reissue that I've ever played. And for less than 250 bucks, I paid a lot more for every other Zonk that I have. I genuinely think that this is one of the best bangs for the buck that you can get. Seeker nailed it. Abso-freaking-lutely nailed it. And if you are any kind of Zonk lover, spend the money. It is worth it. It's killer. And for those who maybe played some in the past but liked some of the sounds but didn't like them all, hopefully this is giving you some ideas. And I would highly recommend, before you go blow money on an expensive original or even some of the really expensive reissues, give Seeker a try. I genuinely think that you will be happy with this pedal. I think there's so much to love about it and so many wonderful settings on it. And the way that it plays with other pedals, and especially the Digitech Whammy. If you are in a rage cover band or you love the sound of a whammy, but you want to get that most singing sustain and compression out of it, yeah, use the Zonk. I promise you're going to love it. You're going to have some fun with it. So thank you, as always, for coming out this week. This was part 2 of our Seeker Origin series demos. Next week, we'll be taking a look at the next one in the series. And as always, I want to thank my friends at Palen for hosting us. I'll put a little link to their website down here. I really appreciate it. For those who are interested in seeing Palen carry some of Seeker's products, please comment down below. We'd love to know if you're interested, and we will see about making that happen. And for everybody, please, if you are on Instagram and you happen to have time, hop over to What's This Button Do, Dustin, on Instagram. I'll be posting some little short demos here and there so that you can see some different sounds. I may even take this out on a test run with the Whammy and see if I can find some more fun sounds and put those up on Instagram for you. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful week. Can't wait to see you next week. Take care. Have a good one.